Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Today on the channel I'll be doing my tips and predictions for round 20 of the 2025 NRL season. Last week I got 5 out of 7 correct. Let's see how many I get right this week. First match to start round 20 is on Thursday night. It's between Redcliffe and North Queensland. This one's being played at Suncorp Stadium, or for the older audiences out there, Lang Park. These two sides have met each other 6 times in all competitions. That includes trial matches since Redcliffe entered the competition. Redcliffe have won 4 of those matches, so they dominate the head-to-head so far. Last time these two sides played as well, Redcliffe put 50 points on North Queensland, which effectively ended their season. Redcliffe are sat 10th on the table at the moment and North Queensland are sat in 12th. This is a huge game for both clubs, as both of them just outside the top 8, looking to get inside that top 8 and stay there for the rest of the season. Both of these sides have been playing pretty well recently, I would say. Both of these sides lost last week, but before that, especially with North Queensland, they kind of turned a corner there for a little while. This is a very tough game to call. I know that Redcliffe have a few players out injured as well, so that's why I'm sort of leaning towards the North Queensland, I should say. So I'm going to go for North Queensland to win this match, and I'm going to go for them to win by 1 or 12 points. But I feel this is one of them sort of flip of the coin games. I wouldn't be surprised if Redcliffe win as well. First match on the Friday is between Cronulla Sutherland and Sydney Roosters. This one's being played at Shark Park. Cronulla in 9th at the moment and Sydney Roosters in 8th. Eastern Suburbs have dominated the fixture in recent times. They've won 8 of the last 10 meetings, and also these two sides played earlier in the year where a second string Sydney Roosters side defeated Cronulla Sutherland quite convincingly. I should point out as well that with Sydney Roosters' recent travels to Shark Park, that they've performed quite well. They've won 4 of the last 5 times that they've played there. Both of these sides come into this game with a win, and this is another huge game because Cronulla's in 9th, East are in 8th. Both teams are looking to try to solidify themselves within the top 8. This is going to be a really big match, but I'm going to once again pick the away side. I just think that this year Sydney Roosters have looked good even when they've had players missing. They just seem to step up. And I'm still not completely sold on Cronulla, so I'm going to go Sydney Roosters to win by 1 to 12 points. The main match on the Friday is between Penrith and South Sydney. This one's being played at the new Western Sydney Stadium. Penrith in 6th at the moment, South Sydney second last on the table. In the last 10 meetings between these two sides, Penrith have won 7 of the last 10. These two sides met earlier in the year though, where Penrith were in a bit of a hole and South Sydney got the victory over them. South Sydney come into this game having lost 6 matches in a row in the league, and I think that they're in crisis. I mean, people have been talking about West Tigers, Manly, Newcastle this year. South Sydney's flown underneath the radar, but as I've said in previous videos, they were expected to finish in the finals positions this year. Wayne Bennett returning as head coach, and they've lost 6 matches in a row and find themselves second last on the table. It's just not good enough. And with Penrith, they're very resurgent at the moment. They had another victory the other day. They're coming to this match having won 5 matches in a row in the league. They're in good form. I imagine all their players will be back on deck as well. South Sydney are going to be really up against it. Of course, South Sydney are a chance of winning this game, but I think in the mood that Penrith are in at the moment and how they've been playing and how they've been travelling, I have to go with Penrith to win this match. So I'm going to go for them to win by 1 to 12 points. First match on Super Saturday is between Canberra and Parramatta. This one's being played at Bruce Stadium in Canberra. Canberra sat top of the table at the moment. Parramatta are in 15th. Canberra coming into this match having won 7 matches in a row in the league. And also Canberra's won the last 4 matches in a row every time they've played Parramatta. Parramatta's record at Bruce Stadium is not good. Historically, it's not good either. Parramatta's biggest ever loss in their club history was at this stadium back in 1993 when they lost 68-0. But since 2011, they've only won twice there, so it's a dismal record. And last week it was another disappointing loss for Parramatta. I haven't seen the full highlights of the game, but it looked like they were in the match at half time, and then second half once again it got away from them, and apparently Dylan Brown were playing hooker. Don't know if that's correct or not, but they're really up against it in this game against the Canberra side, who were red hot, and then on top of that you've got the poor record of travelling down there as well. So I don't really give Parramatta much of a hope. I think Parramatta's going to lose this game. I think Canberra's going to win this game, by 20 or 30 points, if I'm being realistic. So I'll go for Canberra to win this game by at least 20 or 30 points. Second match on Super Saturday is between Canterbury Bankstown and St George. This one's being played at Stadium Australia. Canterbury Bankstown third on the table, St George in 11th. These two sides, in recent times, Canterbury Bankstown's dominated the fixture. They've won the last 4 meetings against St George. With Canterbury, they come into this game with a win. St George come into it with a loss. This is a very underrated game as well in terms of rivalry aspects as well. A lot of people talk about rivalries in the NRL, but they rarely mention the games between Canterbury and St George, and there's a lot of history between these two clubs and a lot of bad blood as well, a lot of feeling in these fixtures. So I should say that this is a rivalry game, and there's always plenty of feeling between these two clubs. So this is a huge game for St George in particular, because they want to keep in distance of the top 8, and Canterbury want to solidify their position in the top 4. I think based off the entire season and how both teams have been going, though, it's really hard to overlook Canterbury Bankstown. I think that St George will give them a game in this one, but I can see Canterbury Bankstown winning. I'll probably go for them to win by 13 plus on Super Saturday. The third match on Super Saturday is between Melbourne and Manly Warringah. This one's being played at Amy Park in Melbourne. Melbourne's second on the table, Manly Warringah in 7th. Melbourne have won 7 of the last 10 matches against Manly Warringah in the NRL, in the league and all competitions, and Manly's record at Amy Park isn't that great either. The last time they won there were in round 19 of the 2019 NRL season, where they defeated Melbourne 11 points to 10. Manly come into this game having been on the bye, and before that they had a win over South, and Melbourne had a routine win over Newcastle. With this match, I think Manly's a little bit resurgent, but I just think that Melbourne are a class above Manly this season. It's going to be very hard for me to see how Manly are going to win this one, especially with their recent record down there. So I'll go for Melbourne to win this match by 13 plus on the Super Saturday. And the first match on Sunday is between West Tigers and Gold Coast. This one's being played at Leichhardt Oval. Wests are currently 14th, Gold Coast is 16th, and this is a massive clash at the bottom of the table. Both sides down on form, down on confidence, down on luck. Everything seems to be that way when you're at the bottom of the table. One thing I will say about the Gold Coast, and I've said it many times, I sound like a broken record, is that they can't defend. Once again, they conceded 24 points or more in a game, and this were against Brisbane, so that's 12 times this year they've conceded 24 points or more in a match, and that's why they're last on the table. And with West Tigers, they've got their own problems, but they're at home this week, and if the weather's good, it should be a decent crowd out there to support the team. With the Gold Coast, they love travelling to Leichhardt Oval. In the last 5 encounters that they've gone up there, they've won 4 of those. So they certainly don't fear going to Leichhardt Oval, and they've actually got a positive record against the West Tigers. They've won 6 of the last 10 meetings. So Gold Coast are a chance to spring an upset in this game. With West Tigers though, they'll know that Gold Coast can't defend, so if they can throw the ball around, if they can get their attacking shape in order, they can certainly score some points against this Gold Coast side. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and I really hope the West Tigers win as well for Parramatta's sake. So I'm going to go for West Tigers to win this game by 1 to 12 points in a high scoring affair. And the final match to close out the round is between Newcastle and New Zealand. This one's being played at Marathon Stadium in Newcastle. Newcastle are sat 13th on the table and New Zealand in 4th. These two sides in the last 10 meetings have won 5 matches each, which is dead even, and also these two sides met earlier in the year where it was played in Christchurch, I believe, and New Zealand won that game. The last time that New Zealand won at Marathon Stadium, however, because their record has been quite poor there in recent years, is in round 16 of the 2019 NRL season. New Zealand come into this game with a win, Newcastle come in with a loss. Newcastle have got a couple of key players out as well, and I think based off what I've seen so far this year and based off the ladder positions, I think New Zealand are a different class to Newcastle this year, they're different gravy. So I'm going to go for New Zealand to win by 1 to 12 points. I know their record's not great there at Newcastle in recent times, but I'm confident they can turn it around this Sunday. So that concludes my video for round 20 of the 2025 NRL season. I hope you enjoyed this tipping video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know who you're tipping this week and your margins and all that. It's always nice to hear from everyone that watches the videos, and thanks to everyone that's recently subscribed to the channel and continues to watch and support me. It's much appreciated. But anyways, this has been Rugby League History. Catch us all later in the next one. Alright, tatty bye for now.